Welcome to Shaped by Faith with your host, Theresa Rowe. To find out more about Shaped by Faith and Theresa Rowe, please visit shapedbyfaith.com or visit the YouTube channel, Facebook, or Instagram. And now, here is Theresa Rowe.
Welcome to Shaped by Faith, where we shape our bodies and hearts for God's purposes. I always love my guests, but this guest today is special. She's an author. Her name is Josie Siler. She's so passionate about helping people find joy for their journey, and people need joy, don't they, Josie? They need joy.
Yes, they do. We all do.
Oh my gosh, yes. You are an award-winning author and photographer. I can't wait to hear about that. And you share God's gifts of beauty, hope, and adventure with people who are overwhelmed by life circumstances as you encourage them to walk in the freedom and joy found in Jesus. That is so important. Josie's debut picture book, I can't wait to see this, Howie's Broken Hee-Haw, I can't wait to hear about it, releases with In-Game Press on 2/22 of 2022. Is that correct?
That is correct. The best release date ever.
It is. Oh my goodness. Okay. I love that. She's a regular contributor to crosswalk.com, a field editor for Our Wisconsin magazine, and her photographs are published in the multi-award-winning book, Advent Devotions and Christmas Crafts for Families, written by Victoria. Is it Durstock?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Josie, you're a chronic illness warrior who believes every day is a gift that should be celebrated. I so agree with you. Mm-hmm. And Josie ministers to others with illnesses as well as their caregivers through Broken But Priceless Ministries and Broken But Priceless, the magazine. When she's not writing or taking pictures, you will find Josie looking for adventure, curled up with a good book, or cuddling her teddy bear dog. Is it Ruby May?
Yep, Ruby May.
The scruffy princess?
Yes.
And so you can find Josie at josiesiler.com, and I will also include that at the end of the program so you can look her up. Okay, so Josie, again, I'm thankful for the connection with our mutual friend, Tracy Crump, who's also an author and writer and just all-around great person. But we want to hear about you. Tell us about yourself, where you live, and what you're doing.
Yeah, well, I am a small town girl. I live in a town of under 200 people in Wisconsin, and I absolutely love it. I love the small town life. I love being able to go and walk downtown to get the mail at our little post office and talking with neighbors and getting a coffee on the way home and from our local coffee shop. It's all the small town vibes, and it's wonderful. I have lived in the big city, and it's okay for a time, but the small town heart likes to be home. Like I said, I live in Wisconsin, and so we are just entering our winter season, which is lovely, but far too long.
No, you were talking about that. You guys just had your first snowfall?
We did, which was a miracle around here and one we had been praying for because my dad has been going through cancer treatments and he had to go to a town about 30 to 45 minutes away 5 days a week for radiation treatments and cancer treatments. And my whole family, we have been praying for good weather until he got through all of that, driving over there every day. And he finished on Friday, and we had our first snowfall on Saturday.
Well, there you go. Wow.
So that was Lord. Fantastic. Yes.
Yes.
My family and I love adventures, and we love just making friends in new places and seeing new things. I love culture and travel and all of that fun stuff.
Well, you can tell that you are full of life and full of joy just in the way that you present yourself, Josie. And I so appreciate that about you. You know, we as Christians should come across with the love of Christ and, you know, also with that joy in our heart and in our voice. And I know God created everyone unique and different and special, but I love the way he created you.
Oh, well,
I love
you.
it. Absolutely.
I say that God says we're fearfully and wonderfully made. And sometimes I think I'm more fearfully than wonderfully made. But
I believe there's a good balance
there.
That's right. So were you raised in a Christ-centered home?
I was, yes. My parents really came to know Christ personally when they were young. They got married at a very young age. Nobody thought they would make it. And they just celebrated their 50th anniversary. And it's because of Jesus. And they introduced him to my brother and I at a very young age. And yes, it was a blessing to grow up in a Christian home.
Absolutely. Okay, so did you enjoy reading or writing as a child?
Absolutely. I think I made my mom a little sad because I wanted to read myself instead of let her read to me.
Did you really?
I did. I liked reading. I don't remember ever having a hard time learning how to read. I'm sure at some point it was, but I just remember that came pretty naturally to me. And I remember taking creative classes, writing classes during summer school when I was a kid. And I don't think I did very well in it, but I had fun. I enjoyed it.
Right.
I'm really bad at spelling, which is in grammar and all of that, which I think it's hilarious that God made me a writer because I failed those subjects in school and now here I am.
Well, I certainly didn't pay attention much in my English class. And I thought about that when I wrote my book. I thought, gosh, I should have paid attention more, but here we are.
Here we are. God uses us anyway.
Yes, absolutely. So what were some of the books you enjoyed reading as a child? Can you remember any?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask me this question, so I actually went and looked up some names of the books that I really liked. My favorite all-time book when I was a little kid was called The Muffin Muncher, and it was about a muffin munching dragon who learned how to be kind and share the muffins that he used to steal.
Oh my goodness, that's so cute.
And it was just great. I love that. Books like The Wind in the Willows and, some of those books that were around back in the day. I read the Orphan Train trilogy by Jane Pert over and over and over again. I love that story of those girls and their adventures. And my all-time favorite series as a kid was The Adventures of the Northland series. And it was by Wisconsin author Lois Wilfred Johnson. Okay. And I used to write her letters and tell her how much I loved her books. And she would send me back like ripped off covers of her books, like the book covers, and she would sign them for me. And one year at camp, she came to camp and surprised me there, and I got to meet her, and it was amazing.
That's pretty special, Josie. I mean, that
it was so wonderful.
Happen a lot. What's the name of her books again? The Adventures of what?
The Adventures of the Northland series, and they take place kind of from Grantsburg, Wisconsin area, kind of up north, the Northwoods of Wisconsin, and yeah, they're fantastic. I love them.
That is neat. Okay, let's get around to your health just a little bit to give people a background. Were you healthy or sickly as a child?
I was sickly. Yeah, I picked up pretty much anything and everything that was going around, and I missed a lot of school, and I, would get bronchitis 3 times a winter, and yeah.
Okay. Did you?
I was not a healthy child.
Was that normal for you? I mean, in your life, or did you just feel like it? Just the way it was or what? It
just was for me. I mean, ever since I was real young, I was just susceptible to things and I would pick things up. And, we went through the process of, I was on antibiotics so often that they had to keep upping the strength and changing medications because my body wouldn't respond to them anymore. And, you get to the point where it's like, well, what is left for me to try to take to get healthy? But I just, I didn't have much of an immune system even back then, but we never really thought anything was too far out of the ordinary. We just thought that, I caught things easily at first.
Did you do anything? Did your parents do anything to, to help you at all? Or did they know what to do?
Yeah. I mean, I went to a lot of doctors. I had a lot of appointments, tested for a lot of things, got back a lot of negatives. And so we just carried on. So.
And here you are. All right.
Here I am still carrying on.
That's right. We need to take a really quick break right here. So when we come back, we're going to hear more from author Josie Siler. So everyone stay tuned for more Shaped by Faith. Welcome back to Shaped by Faith, where we shape our bodies and hearts for God's purposes. I'm speaking with author Josie Siler. She is so lovely. And if you didn't listen to the first segment, you'll get to meet her in this segment and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So Josie's a chronic illness warrior. She's going to explain that in this segment. And she believes every day is a gift that should be celebrated. Josie, from the time you were young, I understand you always wanted to serve the Lord overseas. So tell us about your dream and what happened.
Yeah, the short version is it got crushed. The long version is, like I mentioned in the last segment, I love to travel. I love other cultures. Even being sick for so many years, God has given me the ability to do some traveling. I've been to 8 countries.
Oh, wow.
My graduate degrees my undergraduate degree is in intercultural studies. And then I went to seminary and I got a master's of arts degree. And my focus was also on intercultural international studies.
Okay.
As I prepared to be a missionary, I did a few years of home service in my local church. I became consecrated as an official worker with the Christian Missionary Alliance. That's similar to being ordained, but it's the kind of the female version of ordination is what I call it.
Okay.
So I did all the things and I was appointed for my first 4-year term as a missionary, and I was going to go to Southeast Asia, and I was so excited. I was paying off my last of my school debt and I was ready to go. And then my health took a nosedive and I got really sick. This was in 2008. My body just, the best I can explain it is it just freaked out. It began attacking itself and doing all of these crazy things. And I couldn't go overseas. And at first I thought I just kind of put life on hold. I thought, okay, I'm going to get over this. And then we're just going to pick right back up where we left off. And 2 years later, I finally comprehended what my doctors have been telling me, that chronic illness means I'm not going to get better. That unless God intervenes, this is going to be something that sticks with me for the rest of my life. And so then I struggled to deal with that, and I lost my joy for a while, and I didn't know what God was doing, and I just felt so sick and so frustrated. And but what I think is really cool about this whole story is I wanted to go overseas. I wanted to share God's love with people who feel alone, people who feel unloved, and tell them how much God loves them. That's what I wanted to do overseas. And that's exactly what I get to do every day within the chronic illness community. And now as an author and a writer, I get to tell people all over the world who are, feeling alone and not loved, how much God tells them, and that they have worth and value and that they're important. And so really, God has fulfilled my dreams, just, not in the way that I anticipated that he would, not the way I expected. But it has been far better than I ever dreamed or imagined it could be, because it's his plan now instead of my plan.
Right. And God uses everything, doesn't he, Josie?
He does. He can use everything and anything for our good and his glory. And it's incredible.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's not as you would have dreamed it, but it's what God has for you, and it's his will and his way with you. Right. And, we never know. We never know what he's going to do, but it seems like you are doing exactly what God has planned for you. And that joy thing, it's a crusher, but you came out of it. You definitely came out of it. So talk about being a chronic illness warrior. I know you help other people, but what were you diagnosed with, a certain illness, or what were your symptoms? And
well, I had a lot of muscle and joint pain, to the point where I had a hard time even moving at all. A lot of brain fog, which still lingers. And so that makes things like this difficult, because I never know if my brain is going to sabotage me or not.
You're doing beautifully. Just let me know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I had migraines and insomnia, and my immune system was just tanked. Then I was also on a medication for years that would suppress my immune system, because a lot of the issues that I had, it came down to autoimmune issues where my immune system, it wouldn't fight off the bad things. It would attack the good things in my body.
Okay.
And so it's just where your immune system gets confused and attacked, my muscles and joints instead of viruses and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so throughout the course of several years, I've been diagnosed with something called mixed connective tissue disease. And that just kind of means that I have a variety of symptoms from different connective tissue diseases. So like lupus would be a connective tissue disease.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if mine would ever progress, that's kind of the direction that it would head. But, I'm kind of a smorgasbord. I have a little of this, a little of that, some fibromyalgia, some dermographism, which is also called the skin writing disease, which I think is kind of funny since I'm a writer and, God definitely has a sense of humor.
Now, what does that is a skin, tell me again.
It's called dermographism, the skin writing disease. And basically, like, if I hold a pile of books in my arm, for example, or if something would like scrape up against your arm and you get that like little red mark or something.
Yes.
Like if you hold something too tight, well, mine can take, instead of going away in a few minutes, it could be, 20 minutes or an hour before, that goes away. I have very sensitive skin and so what they do to test it, they actually write on my back and it kind of bubbles up a little bit and then they just waited and saw how long it took for it to go away.
They wrote on your back with what? Like
just with like something sharp and pokey, that would just kind of scratch it up a little bit. And but
is that the thing that does that also cause your skin to turn different colors at times?
No, I do have something called Raynaud's syndrome or Raynaud's phenomenon, where you're which is great that I live in Wisconsin, right? Because mine is usually triggered by cold. And so when I get really cold, and stress can also trigger it. But for me, it's usually cold and my fingers will turn like paper white. I look like I'm dead and it's just so white. And then as they start to warm up, they'll turn kind of this blackish blue color. And then they get real bright red and hot. And as they warm up, it hurts really bad to like thaw them out and warm them up. I run them under like lukewarm water and kind of warms them up. But that's my fingers and toes both do that. And thankfully, I haven't had any episodes of that in quite some time. So we'll see how this winter treats me. Last winter was pretty mild. So I have learned the art of finding the correct warm clothing to wear and all of that kind of stuff. So,
I'm familiar with that. A doctor told me probably about 3 years ago that my fingers, they turn purple when I eat or when I get too cold. Yes. And, he told me that. And then I looked it up and exactly as you described, where some people will turn white, some people will turn a purplish blue. And I'll have to put on mittens in the summertime if the air's up and we like it kind of cooler in the home. It's just bizarre.
Or if you're shopping in the freezer section in the grocery store, or, little things like that.
Just things trigger it. You just never know. But, and they said there wasn't a known cause for it. And I'm like, okay, all righty, here we go.
We're just special. That's all.
We are very special. Yes. And another friend of mine has that as well. So I just find it very interesting,
Yeah. And it's just learning to manage the symptoms. I was on the medication a little while to help get the circulation down into my fingers and toes better. But I have low blood pressure to begin with. And so that dropped it even lower and I was dizzy all the time. So that didn't work. So now I just try to keep it from happening and instead of being on a medication for it, because that didn't work out well for me. But for some people, it works great. It really helps.
Yes. Well, it sounds like you do have a lot going on, but God, but God, and He is with you. Obviously, He's with you. And I do pray right now, Josie, that your body receive total healing in the name of Jesus. I believe, I trust God and His word. And I am just going to pray that for you and those who are sick out there or dealing with chronic illnesses in the name of Jesus, that everyone be healed. Let's go ahead and let's take another quick break. And when we come back, I can't wait to hear about your book and your photography. So let's take a real quick break right here. Welcome back to Shaped by Faith. We shape our bodies and hearts for God's purposes. I have a lovely guest on today, author Josie Siler. And Josie, I really have enjoyed our time together, just getting to know you and getting to hear the positivity in your voice, and the joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10.
Amen.
I really believe that. And I'm praying for your healing and everyone else out there that God would heal you. But let's go ahead and let's talk about your health again, as you were just explaining what was going on with your symptoms in your body. How important is it that we take charge of our own health and we keep pursuing what's going on with our own bodies?
Yeah, I just think this is so important because nobody knows your body better than you, right? So we know what's normal, we know what's not normal. And so if there's, if you're listening to this and you think, oh, I keep going to the doctor and they keep telling me I'm fine, but I know that there's something wrong. Keep going, keep looking for new doctors, keep looking for different doctors, and eventually you will find one who is willing to listen and who is willing to really get to the bottom of things, because we need that help. We need that closure. And for me, when those doctors have been brought into my life, you just have this feeling like, oh, I'm not losing my marbles. There really is something, and once we can get a diagnosis, it really helps emotionally to know that there really is something going on and there is a way to deal with it. And so if that's a place that you find yourself in today, I would just encourage you to not give up, even though I know it is so frustrating, but to keep looking for that person who is going to be able to help you.
That is such great advice. I mean, we have to take charge of our own health. If we don't, who's going to do it?
Right.
People aren't going to do it for us. And I do believe that God gave us that knowing in our physical to know, okay, something just doesn't seem right. I don't know what's going on, but it just doesn't seem right. And even if your blood work looks great, and if you get an EKG and that looks great, keep pursuing.
Yeah. Because my blood work does a really good job of looking great when it's not. And that's something I've learned over the years. And that's why it took so long for me to get diagnosed, is because my blood work always looks perfect. And I'm, sitting there in a lump of mess. It's like, it can't be perfect. But that's just my body's way of responding. It's really good at hiding things.
Oh, yes. It loves the theatrics, right? Let's fake them out this time.
Exactly.
Tell us about your upcoming picture book.
Yeah, so I am so excited about this. It is called Howie's Broken Hee-Haw, and it's a new take on the story of Palm Sunday. Oh. So it's about this little donkey named Howie, and he can't hee-haw, hee-haw like the other donkeys, and it makes him so mad. He just can't get it right, and he feels inferior, and he feels sad, and he feels angry, and he feels all the feels. And then Jesus chooses him to ride into Jerusalem. And Howie learns that he's not broken after all, but that God made him on purpose and for a purpose. And this story, I realized actually just maybe a month or two ago, that it's really my story. And it's my story of healing and feeling broken and so frustrated and having all these emotions that I didn't know what to do with. And God saying, no, Josie, I made you on purpose, and you have a purpose. And that's what I want kids to know, and adults. I want adults to find healing in this book too, that there's value in who they are because God made them. And it's not in what they can or can't do. And it's not in anything else other than the fact that they have value and purpose because God made them, and they are important to him, and they are so loved by him. And that's what Howie discovers. And that's what I hope that kids will discover too when they read this book.
Now, that's awesome. God's using your pain, what you've been through, what you continue to go through, for his purpose of drawing others to him and for making them feel special. And like God can help me too. When did you become interested in writing about a donkey? Why the donkey?
This is so great. Honestly, remember when I was talking about that insomnia? Yes. I was laying in bed one night and I couldn't sleep for anything. And all of a sudden, this story just drops into my head, almost fully formed. I just had this, I I don't even know. I was just laying in bed and I have this idea about this donkey who has a broken Hee-Haw. And I grabbed my phone and I started writing in the notes section of my phone in the middle of the night. And the next night, the same thing. I couldn't sleep. And I started thinking about this donkey that I had started writing about the night before. And I wrote a little bit more. And probably half of the story was written in bed over the course of a couple nights when I couldn't sleep. And I told the idea to a few people. And the more people I told about it, the more excited everyone got. And they're like, this is it, Josie. This is your story. So I finished writing it. And I had it professionally edited, and I hired Michelle Medlock Adams. She's one of my writing mentors, and she is a fantastic children's book author. And she's like, Josie, I think this is going to be your debut book. And sure enough, here it is.
Oh, and it comes out in
February
22 of 22. Yep. So can people pre-order it now, or do they need to wait?
No, It is up for pre-order now at so many retailers. On my website, I have a whole page dedicated to Howie, and I have links for all of the places that you can buy it. You can read some early endorsements from some people on there. But yeah, I have direct links to places you can buy it. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. It's on Walmart's website.
Well, congratulations. Wow.
Yes, it's amazing. Every time I find it somewhere new, I get so excited.
Well, I'm so happy for you. I really am. And our time is up. I mean, I want to keep talking. We'll talk after we stop recording. But I appreciate your heart, Josie, what you do, and for being obedient to God and saying yes to Him, and for allowing Him to use what you've gone through to draw others close to Him. So give us your website address again.
Yes, it's josiesiler.com, JOSIESILER.com. And all my information, social media links, book information, monthly newsletter, all of that is right there for you to find.
Okay, Josie, thanks so much for being on Shaped by Faith.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me so much, Theresa.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Shaped by Faith with Theresa Rowe. Remember to visit shapedbyfaith.com to find out more about workouts, the TV show, podcasts, blogs, Shaped by Faith products, and much more.